everybody, and welcome back to Childcare Confidential. I am Jessica Hampton, one of your co-hosts. My dear friend Katie Dink will be back with us shortly, but you get me today. So, directors, if you are listening, I want you to grab your team because teachers, this one is actually for you. I want you to do something with me today. For a minute, just forget that you're a teacher. Forget that you're a director. Forget that you're an owner. Forget that you're an early childhood specialist. Imagine that you are 4 years old. You walk into the classroom tomorrow morning and you're going to spend the next 8, 9, 10, and sometimes maybe even longer in that classroom. Would you want to be there? Would you feel safe? Would you have fun? Hmm. Would you feel like your teacher actually liked you? Would you get to make choices throughout the day? Would someone actually listen to you? Or would your day maybe sound like this? No, stop. Don't touch that. Sit down. Be quiet. I said, be quiet. Wait. It's not your turn. Line up. Hands to yourself. Ooh, because those two experiences are completely different early childhood experiences. We're going to talk today from a child's perspective, not through the eyes of licensing, not through the eyes of a parent touring and everything being perfect, not through the eyes of your director, but through the eyes of a child. And directors, this one you might want to save and play at your next staff meeting because we're going to be asking one simple question. Would you want to be the child in your classroom? Let's look at your classroom like a child. Tomorrow, we're going to walk into the classroom and physically get down on the floor. Look around from where a child can see. What do you see? Can you reach all the materials? Can you choose what you want to play with? Is there anything in the classroom that makes you curious and want to learn more? Is there space to move, but maybe not space to run all the way around the classroom openly, which can create some chaos? Does this classroom look like it actually belongs to children? Or is it mostly designed around making life easier for the adult? And listen, I understand why that happens. Sometimes we put something up because we're tired of picking it up, or sometimes we might not want the children to get out the rolling grocery cart because it's going to cause more of a hassle. Sometimes we close a center because we don't want to have to be the ones to clean it up again. Oof. Sometimes we tell everybody to sit down because movement feels so chaotic. I've been in childcare for a very long time, and I definitely understand survival mode. And if you've been in childcare, I'm sure you understand it too. We've all been there. But sometimes we create classrooms that are very convenient for adults and not very enjoyable for children. So let's start with that. If you were 3 or 4 years old, would you want to be in your classroom? And if the answer is maybe not much, that's okay. Don't take it personally. Take it as information because without information, we can't change things. How often do the kids in your classroom hear the word No. Mm. Here's another challenge. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that kids cannot be told no sometimes, but it shouldn't be the primary thing being said in your classroom all day, every day. For one day, I want you to pay attention to how many times you say some version of no. No running, stop climbing, don't dump those out. Don't touch that. Sit down. Stop. No, no, no. Imagine hearing that for 8, 9, 10, or maybe more hours. Trust me, again, I'm not saying early childhood and children should not have boundaries because they absolutely should. But before you say no, ask yourself, why? Why am I saying no? Is it unsafe? Is someone going to get hurt? Is it truly inappropriate? Or is it just inconvenient? Because there's definitely a big difference there. Sometimes the child dumping out the entire bucket of blocks isn't misbehaving. Maybe they want to build something. Maybe they're experimenting and learning and growing as they play with the blocks. Maybe they just discovered that dumping 40 blocks on the floor makes a really cool sound. And yes, now somebody has to clean them up. That's part of the learning too. Good management of a classroom isn't controlling every movement children make. It's creating an environment where they can safely be children. They're exploring, they're learning, they're asking 1,000 questions. And as adults, sometimes that can be hard, but look at it through a child's eyes. Sometimes it's not a behavior problem. This is probably one of the biggest things that I want teachers to hear. Sometimes what we call a behavior problem isn't really a behavior problem at all. You have 18 preschoolers standing in line waiting to go outside. 2 minutes go by, then three. They're waiting on you. Someone starts touching somebody else. One child's going to sit down. Another starts spinning in circles. Someone decides that they're a dinosaur and wants to roar like a dinosaur. We've all been there. And suddenly we are flustered and frustrated. Why can't everybody just stand so nicely? Um, well, let me put it this way, because they're four. That's why. We create long transitions, long circle times, long periods of waiting. And then we just get frustrated when children can't handle them. And we forget that their attention span might not be that long. Before you decide, this child has a behavior problem, ask what's happening around this child. Maybe their attention span is not long enough for your 45-minute circle time or your 30-minute circle time. Maybe the transition of standing in line for 3 minutes while you gather your own stuff to get out the door, it just doesn't work. Maybe they're bored and you haven't changed out materials lately. Maybe they have been sitting too long. Even as adults, we get antsy when we're sitting too long. How can we expect children to sit that long? Maybe your classroom is filled from wall to wall with learning charts and ABCs and everything else, and it's just overstimulating. Great teachers don't just manage children's behavior, They change what's happening around the child. This is why we do assessments in early childhood. This is why we take notes and change things to help behaviors when it's happening. This is why we document behaviors so we can see what's happening before and after the behavior to see what is triggering the behavior. Do your children know that you even like them? Okay. This one might sting a little bit, and I have always been a pretty structured person as well as in the classroom, so I get it when you're trying to stay organized and keep things moving. But if I walked into your classroom tomorrow, would you be able to tell that, like, I liked the children? Would I be able to tell that you liked the children? Not children in general, because of course we like children in general. That's why we do what we do. That's why you're in early childhood education. I'm talking about the children in your classroom, your children, the loud one, the stubborn one, the one that asks why 400 times, the one that refuses to nap, the one who knocks down everyone else's blocks just to knock them down. The one whose parent arrives at 5:59 PM and they're the last child in the building. Does that child know that you like them? Because children know. They feel it. They know who annoys you. They know who your favorites are. They know when you're happy to see them. And they definitely know when your face says, "Oh, Lord, here we go." Imagine being a 4-year-old and spending your entire day with an adult who makes you feel like you're annoying them. That is a really long day. And I think even as adults, we wouldn't want to be around somebody that we felt like we were annoying all the time, all day, every day. So tomorrow morning, when your children walk through that door, pay attention to your face. I know, I wear it well on my face. It's hard to disguise what I'm thinking because it all kind of comes out here. Again, if you have not seen the podcast on YouTube, the facial expressions are priceless. But does your face say, "I'm happy you're here"? Because that's what the children need to see. And if it doesn't, it's okay. That's information that you can use to make some changes. Let's listen to yourself. Now, listen to your classroom, not the kids, the adults. How are you talking to children? Are you having conversations? If they're in the dramatic play center, are you sitting at the table and ordering from their pretend restaurant and drinking the pretend coffee they bring you? Are you asking open ended questions? What are you making over there? Oh, that sounds yummy. Have the conversations. Are you laughing along with them? Are you sitting on the floor? Are you sitting on the child at the child tables and not on the tables? Because that's just being a bad example. What are you doing? Are you being silly? Some of my best times in a classroom is when I'm a kid again and I can just be silly with the kids. We can dance around the classroom and be crazy. And I can hug a kiddo or two as we're dancing or dance with a different kiddo. And it shows that I love them and I care about what they like. Or are most of your interactions with kiddos in your classroom commands? Clean up, sit down, stop, Come here, go potty, put your shoes on. You know you can't have them off. Line up, hands to yourself. Children need more than just instructions from us, especially in early childhood. They need conversations. They need to know why to their 400 questions. And not everything has to be a quiz or an instruction or a transition. What color is this? How many bears are there? What letter is this? Maybe instead we ask an open ended question like, tell me about what you're building. Or, whoa, what's going on over here? Talk to them. Don't just instruct or give commands. Some of the best learning happens in early childhood when it was something that was never written on somebody's lesson plan. It's the hands on experiences. Are you just doing other teacher prep when centers are going on in your classroom? Stop. Stop today. You should be sitting with the children, interacting, having conversations. Of course, we have to have time to prep, but when we're not engaging in our classrooms, we're not doing early childhood correctly. All right, directors, this part is for you because now I want to flip this around a little bit. Because directors, we can't ask teachers to create joyful classrooms inside miserable workspaces. Oof, yep, I said it. We want all these things out of our teachers and we want them to create these joyful classrooms. But when they're in a miserable workplace, that is really difficult to do. If teachers are exhausted, if they're unsupported, constantly being criticized, and maybe they're running on empty, eventually, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, or maybe today, maybe tomorrow, but eventually all of those emotions, the exhaustion, the unsupport, the criticism, are going to come right into your classroom, the one that you're trying to have a teacher be joyful about. So while you're asking teachers, would I want to be a child in my classroom? Leadership needs to be asking, would I want to be a teacher in my center? Yep, I said it. Would I feel supported if I was a teacher in my center? Could I ask for help? Would someone notice when I was doing something great, not just when I was doing something not so great? Would I receive coaching or only hear from leadership what I've done wrong? That doesn't mean lowering your expectations. Please hear me on that because we have to set high expectations to have quality early childhood education. Strong centers have high expectations, but we have to also give people the support that they need to meet those high expectations because culture, it rolls from the top on downhill. And eventually, your children are going to experience the culture that you create as a director or an owner. So here's the challenge I want to give you this week. Don't try to fix everything all at once, because that is definitely what I would do. And you have to do it a little bit in stages so you don't burn yourself out. I've learned the hard way. But pick one thing. Maybe you're going to say fewer unnecessary no's. Maybe you're going to shorten a transition so kids aren't standing in line 2 to 3 minutes and losing attention. Maybe you're going to sit on the floor more and interact and engage with children more instead of doing other adult things. Maybe you're going to have those actual conversations that aren't just a quiz. Maybe you're going to need to rethink your circle time or your morning meeting because it's just not working the way it is. You've lost them. Maybe you're going to intentionally connect with the child who's been getting on your very last nerve. Honestly, those are my favorites, but we don't have favorites, right? I love a good challenge. Or maybe you're simply going to make sure that every child who walks through your door sees a face that's happy they're there because you know you would want to have that same experience. And you want to have it as a teacher in your school from the director standpoint. Pick one thing that we've talked about today, one thing that you now see that needs changed. And here's what I want you to do: change it. Just change it. Focus on one thing to change and change it. And then once you get that worked out, pick another. But watch what happens because sometimes the fastest way to change children's behavior is to change what the adults are doing around them. And I know some of you right now are going, "Oh, but you don't know Joey in my classroom. He's a whole handful and it doesn't matter what I do. I can't fix it." But have you tried? Have you taken notes and written down what happens before the behavior and after the behavior? Have you looked for some similarities to what may be triggering the behavior? Have you asked for some coaching advice from your administrators? Have you really tried? Because if you have, then we probably need to pull in a director and have some other conversations. But I just really, really want to encourage you because I've seen this work time and time again in my own schools. We have our teachers take 2 weeks of behavior notes if they're struggling with a child. And then we sit down and have a meeting and talk with the teacher about the problem. And we look for similarities and see what we can change to help fix the problem before we call in the parent meeting because we all want to be on the same page. And sometimes, like I said, the fastest way to change a child's behavior is to change what the adults are doing around them. Here's what I want you to remember from this podcast: your children probably aren't going to remember your lesson plan. They're still important. We still have to teach. We still have to write curriculum and do all the things, but they're little. They're probably not going to remember it. They're not going to remember whether you completed every activity on that lesson plan, especially since a lot of them cannot read yet or are not reading your lesson plans. They're definitely not going to remember whether your bulletin board looked like something off of Pinterest or not. But you know what? They are learning something from you every day. They're learning, am I safe here? Do people listen to me? Are my ideas and thoughts important? What happens when I make a mistake? And maybe most importantly, do the adults who are taking care of me and educating me actually enjoy being with me? Because you're not just running a classroom. For the children in your care, you're helping create their childhood. That is a big responsibility. And you're helping to create it. They're going to remember if they felt welcome, just like you're going to remember if you felt welcome at your school as a teacher. So tomorrow, walk into your classroom, look around, listen, get down on their level, and ask yourself, would I want to be a child here? And if the answer isn't an immediate yes, it's okay. Then you've just figured out where the work starts, and that's okay. We have to have information to make changes, but we have to really, really look and be honest with ourselves about how our classroom is functioning and if you would really want to be there or not. That's it for me today. I am Jessica Hampton. And if this Childcare Confidential spoke to you, make sure to save it, share it, like, subscribe, all the good things that we always do. And check out our website at childcareconfidential.com. Our vault is where we put resources and coaching. We would love for you guys to check that out. Play it at your next staff meeting and spread the word. What is one thing we can change that would make children want to be in our classrooms? I'll see you next time, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful week. Let's do